Alright guys, hope you are all having a very restful Sunday. Just wanted to do another live vid. This should be my last vid that pertains to Winter Storm Diego. I'm on 70 now. I'm near the Dickson line, and we've had some pretty good ice the past 24-ish hours. We'll say 18, 20 hours actually, and we got a good patch coming up here. You could see just the glaze. It's a very thick layer of glaze starting to bend some of the branches and limbs. It's more gorgeous in real life. So one of the reasons why I want to cut this is to show you the power of elevation. If you're a Middle Tennessee resident, it's very important to know elevation's place when it comes to winter weather and precip type. And this is going to be a little tutorial. So right now we're at 800 feet, give or take 20, 30 feet. You know, the bluff where I live, White Bluff, most of the town is situated between 800 and 850 feet. We're going to take Kingston Springs Road down to Kingston Springs and then cut back to 70 using Craggy Hope, which is an alternate secondary that you can use to connect Kingston Springs to 70 in Dickson County, whether you're going to White Bluff or further down the road to Dickson or Burns. I don't want to spoil the fun because I traveled this route earlier today, which is why I decided to cut this. I'm going to go back and show you just how sharp the cutoffs can be, and why someone can be experiencing snow, and then like 5 minutes down the road it can be sleet, freezing rain, and then 5 minutes down the road again. It's just pure rain. If you have friends in Charlotte, North Carolina, pretty much you can draw a line through the heart of downtown Charlotte. If you're on the south side, you got mostly rain with a little bit of sleet mixed in, but if you looked on the north side, you got a healthy dollop, 4 to 6 inches of snow. So a lot of people living on the south side of Charlotte were very disappointed with the outcome, but people on the north side were like, hey, the storm verified, what are you talking about? Now, storms often disappoint in the south. We're no exception. I mentioned in my last vid, go check it out, I just posted it. I posted some thoughts and reflections on the storm as far as its impact on Middle Tennessee. If you go down my wall a little bit, you can find it. Scroll to the very end, I shared my thoughts for 3 minutes. And one thing that stood out to me about this storm is Middle Tennessee, as far as its geography in the United States, it's more susceptible to warm noses, warm air intrusions, 5,000 to 10,000 feet above our heads that really compromise the cold layer. It basically messes up the precip type, and sometimes it doesn't have a chance to refreeze, or it does refreeze, but it just doesn't fall as snow. There's a lot going against our part of the world when it comes to snow. And then there's climatology. We're not even in winter yet, so sometimes these slider systems, they're not. You have a Gulf flow that has a mind of a closed off flow. So I don't need to get into the weeds of that. But you can see now, we're now down to about 650, 700, and there's hardly any ice to be found. There's a little bit of ice on the tops of these trees. But if you're on the surface where I'm at, the ice is gone. And very subtle drop off, but during the last 2 or 3 minutes, we went down about 100, 150 feet, and this is a very dangerous stretch, so I'm going to be careful here. This is one of the ways I go to work in the morning, and this makes, if you live on the bluff, this part right here makes you feel like you live like 1,000 feet up. This is Kingston Springs Road. This is connecting 70 in Cheatham County. Takes you down to the heart of Kingston Springs, and ultimately mile 188 on I-40 West. We're not going to go to I-40 West. We're just going down the hill here, and For those who've ever traveled 24 between Nashville and Chattanooga, this is kind of like a microcosm of Mount Eagle Mountain. You know, going up and or going down, rather. Very, very small sample size. So we're gonna go right here, and this is Craggy Hope Road, Kissimmee Road. This is the intersection here. A lot of people travel this way when they're going to Montgomery State Park. And as you can see, nothing. It's just soggy and damp, and unfortunately for most of you who are tuning in, this was the scene the entire weekend, and you're like, where was the snow? Where was the freezing rain? We're all the way down to 500 feet, by the way. I think if parts dip below 500 briefly, but for the most part, we're dancing between 500 and 550 feet. Again, this is called Craggy Hope. Some of you, there's no reason for you to come out this way, so this is all probably new to you. But for me, if Kingston Springs Road's backed up, this is like a nice little secondary artery that I can take. This is also a nice way to, you know, if 40's backed up and I need to get up at 188 because my home exit's 182. It's known for Burns and Fairview. Up a little bit, so we're steadily approaching 600 feet here. I know this is a little boring, so I apologize. This is kind of a weather nerd at heart. I think some of these things, you know, that we talk about, these micro scale elements, they're fascinating to me, and I just can't help but want to share with the world my passion and my enjoyment. Little things go a long way. I've been tracking, going back to just Winter Storm Diego, I've been tracking the storm for about 2 weeks. There was a signal that started showing up a little bit after Thanksgiving, so I probably exhausted some of you with my my briefings and announcements leading up to the storm, and you're like, well, nothing happened, so what the shrek? I get that. I get the frustration. I wish we had gotten more despite the ice. And so, okay, so we're about 650 now. We're going over the tracks here, and the next 5 minutes, very important, as what you're about to see. So often in forecasting, we're talking about mid-range, long-range, and that's kind of the, you know, the larger scale type stuff. Obviously, you're looking for trends and patterns, more macro in nature. Micro stuff, that's the stuff that's hard to predict, that even short-term models that are specialized in 24 hours don't always pick up. And elevation, and what directions the winds are blowing with respect to your rises and mountains or hills. You know, if you get easterly winds that are coming over a hill, you know, if you look on the western side, you're going to get downsloping. That affects your temperatures, increasing them up by 1-2 degrees. And since we often have temps in the low 30s when precip moves in the wintertime, even on a good winter, you know, it's just 31 and 33 are vastly different. And it's not just the surface you have to worry about. You got to think about the 925 and 850 and 700 millibar levels. You know, you got your snow growth zone in between 850 and 700 usually. We're now approaching, well, we're still under 700, but we're not far from 700. For those of you tuning in, I got a couple people dialing in from the West Coast. Welcome to Tennessee. Okay, so ice at the very top of the trees. You can kind of start to see it. We're going to hit about 7. Okay, so we're now next up 750. The ice starting to get lower here. You can just kind of start to see it on the branches. Ah, right there. Look at that. You got a nice tree, still a little bit of foliage on it. It's sagging, and we're now at almost 800 feet. Aha, and now this is the good stuff. Let me turn I'll turn the wipers off for a little bit. Again, it is a much more spectacular scene in real life because I don't know, it just seems like the even though I'm shooting in HD, space to capture, I guess, the angle. Just here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a look outside. Going behind me. A lot of white, a lot of branches starting to lean over. I've only seen a few branches down, nothing huge, so this is just a nice, safe, relatively speaking, ice event. You know, I have power. I haven't heard of any parts of this county that are without power. I think Cheatham in some places. But now we're back to 70 here, all right? So Michelle, we got snow yesterday. Not a whole lot, like half an inch. This is all ice you're seeing. This is about 18 hours worth of freezing rain and sleet. We're just above 800 feet right now. Some of these spots picked up about a quarter inch of ice, which equates to 2-3 inches of snow, which is a bummer because I would much rather have 2-3 inches of snow than a quarter inch of ice. But you know, ice has a way of creating a nice wintry landscape. Ryan, I'm on 70. I'm now in Dickson County. I just crossed the Cheatham-Dickson County line. I'm heading to White Bluff right ahead. There's a lot of white on the trees. The roads are fine if you wanted to come out here, if you had the time. Roads are fine. Sidewalks are a bit crunchy, but I'm sure that's melted off by now. It was really annoying to watch, just, you know, watching the radar trends last night. So much pink, it just never could turn blue. Some of you were on the green all weekend, and I feel you. I wish I could have got you some snow. And Ryan, since you're on here, I'll go ahead and just tell you, I'm not sure if any one model performed well in this event. I'll have to do some verification analysis. And Ryan, we should have talked before. I think it would have been a moot point because my wife is very sick. I'm borrowing 20 minutes. I've been taking care of the kids, and I got a 20-minute spot from one of our mutual friends. So to get out and cut this, couldn't go to church, and I couldn't chase afterwards. I basically just all my plans to chase today got thwarted by the better half's health, and that's fine. You know, it's just I've been scoring some hubby, some daddy points today, and perfect opportunity when the wife gets sick. Let's step up and level up, and she knows I had to forego the chase that I had planned. I think I was thinking like Jacksboro. I didn't want to go all the way out to Gatlinburg, but heck, if I would have known you were going, I probably would have coordinated. Just out of curiosity, how much snow did you see in Gatlinburg? It seemed like it was on the dividing line between like appreciable and not so appreciable amounts. And I'm curious how Knoxville did, because Knoxville went from like, 2 days ago, like, oh yeah, you'll get less than an inch, and then yesterday at this time, actually just kidding, 2 to 3 inches, and then it corrected back down to less than 1. So I bet people in Knoxville were pulling their hair out even more because the ceiling got raised last minute, and gotcha. Jealous, man. I have a 3-inch, 3-hour rule when it comes to my chases, and I think this would have been able to work. By the way, this is downtown White Bluff. There's not much to look at. Although since we're here and where it's not in the dark of night and it's stormy, I will say that we got some good restaurants. Salt and Pepper Grill on my right, this place called Paul's Pizza. Very good. But you see we'll end this video up ahead at the McDonald's because we pretty much have seen everything that you needed to see. We got a town hall, we got a post office, some nice and dainty little COCs and Baptist churches, credit unions, small time. Well, I hope you had fun, Ryan. Good to hear from you. Winters hasn't even started. We'll touch base. There's the McDonald's. Some more. I didn't really show you the power lines. I'm at the stoplights. You can kind of check them out for yourself. Pretty decent coating. Like if we would have doubled this, we would have been in like ice warning criteria for sure. Yeah, okay. Ryan, I'm sure you know a lot more about just Middle Tennessee towns, big and small, than most people. The demographics and, you know, people hanging out with you, they probably wouldn't need Wikipedia, just like give you a town, like here's the specs on it, right? Alright guys, this was fun. I'll catch you on the Friday. I think the next week is going to be rather benign, which is probably a good thing for me and all weather enthusiasts just having a break. Will be relatively mild compared to where we've been the past week. Temps upper 40s to low mid 50s for highs most of the time. Not a whole lot of precip chances that I can see, so I think we're going to have a nice week ahead, with most days being partly or mostly cloudy. Temps pretty tame for December standards, and those who saw snow this week will have a chance to thaw out, dig out, if you're like Boone, Hickory, Asheville, etc., right?